send out an email or a text and let's see, even though, yeah, the COVID is going on. But like right now, I'm driving to Crystal Springs right now. I come down here maybe twice a week. But like you, Michelle, like you, Elizabeth, I don't go anywhere. I had to cancel hotel rooms for Tennessee because we're big football fans, but my husband can't attend. We were going to try to attend the game this past weekend, but when I called to find out about the seating, you have to sit exactly where your ticket says. Whereas here in Jackson, we will go all the way to the very top, like when we went for the spring football games. And, there was no issue with that because it was just us. Mm-hmm. But we didn't want to take the chance. And he kept telling me to go ahead and go. But it's like, I want my husband to live and I can't bring home anything. But anyway, Let me get off that soapbox. I see some others are joining in. Good morning. Good morning.
We have Tony and Jamie.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tony, we can hear you.
Yay. I'm having some webcam difficulties, so I had to switch to my laptop's microphone instead of the webcam's microphone. So it may be a little scratchy, but I do apologize.
Welcome, Jamie. You're the new director at the Jackson Hub, right?
Yes, I am. How are
you? Welcome.
Hey.
Yay.
Very exciting to have someone new there. We love the last lady and she's doing a great job with her new thing. So welcome. I'm Elizabeth Coleman and I just am kind of keeping my foot in this. I have retired, but I do think it's great to see someone new and fun. So welcome, Jamie.
Oh, thank you so much. Y'all are so sweet.
So Jamie, because we're waiting on a couple of more people, do you want us to tell us a little bit about yourself as we wait for a moment?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I'm Jamie. I am from Tupelo, Mississippi. I moved to Central Mississippi about 2 years ago when I got married. My husband's from Brandon, so we moved back this way. And I graduated from Mississippi State. I have a degree in human development and family science. And I have a 5-month-old little girl. Her name's Jane Esther, and she's adorable. I love her so much. And I'm just really excited to be here and to be in this position and to get to connect with so many nonprofits across Central Mississippi. So I'm still kind of learning the ropes and figuring it out. It's a lot to figure out. It's very different than what I've done before. I've been a children and youth minister ever since I graduated from college. And so this is different, but it's amazing and I have loved it so far. So thank you all for welcoming me.
Wonderful. Well, when things settle down, those of us who are here close by will all get together and go to lunch.
Yes, that would be so fun.
Wonderful. Stacy, how much pre-work do you want to do before I jump into my presentation? What do you think?
I'm really excited about the presentation. So, I just think we should just, good morning, everybody. Everybody go around the room and just, acknowledge who's here and then go ahead with your presentation is what I think we should do.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. Elizabeth, why don't you start and I'll go last?
Okie doke. As I mentioned to Jamie, my name's Elizabeth Coleman and I have retired from volunteer engagement, except I am volunteering helping one site. And I've been very busy since the pandemic started and working on new projects. I love DOVIA. I think it's one of the best things going. And what's so neat about it, when we have these monthly meetings, as many as can come do, and if they can't, we still connect with each other. And I think Michele counted about 80 organizations that are connected, but there are about 15 or 20 who stay active that can come to monthly meetings off and on. But that information is so good and it goes out to these 80 organizations. So if you don't see many people in the meeting, that doesn't mean that it's not effective, because it is getting out there. And we try to help support each other in our work. And I love what all of you do, and I get so excited about it. So usually I'm the one that starts the meeting, but today I have figured out how to hand the hostessing with the mostessing duties over. So, so I'm going to put myself on mute and let everyone else talk, but I'm sending hugs to all of you.
Hey, Jamie, my name's Tony Schnaudelbach. I'm the volunteer services coordinator at the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. I came into this role in December of 2019 after Elizabeth retired. She gave me so much of her wonderful information, and I was ready to pick up the ball and keep running with it from her after she did so much for the department over the years. I've been in this, like I said, I've been in this position since 2019, but that only gave me about 4 months before COVID started. So we've been very much rolling with the punches and figuring out how we can interact with our volunteers across our several sites, not only in Jackson, but also in Natchez, Mississippi as well. We've been coming up with various remote and virtual opportunities, as well as engaging with volunteers who are ready to come back on site in socially distanced capacities. So yeah, we've been doing just a whole lot. I'm really excited to meet you in person whenever that may be, and see what we can do together going forward.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I'm Stacy. I work with Mississippi's Toughest Kids as the Director of Community Engagement / volunteer coordinator / But anyway, I love working for Mississippi's Toughest Kids. We're building a camp in Copiah County. We are 30% complete. We have 2 events coming up. The first one is going to be October 21st. That's our big golf tournament that we have every year. The second one is something that we've never done before, which is a 5K, 10K, 13.1. We will be doing that on November 13th, which is Veterans Day weekend. And we are very, very, very excited about it. So if y'all know anybody that would like to sponsor it, we have sponsorship opportunities available. And a very special sponsorship that we have is a student sponsorship. A couple of months ago, I found out that there was lots of things going on with the youth in Crystal Springs. And when I say the youth, I'm not even talking about the special needs children. I'm talking about the ones that they say that are normal. 5 of those children, or 5 youth, lost their lives by taking their lives. So with that being said, when we came up with the run, my thoughts were, along with a board of, I have a race board, but our thoughts were, because we have a teacher on that board, and he was all about getting someone to sponsor the children in Crystal Springs. So any age group of children can be sponsored in Copiah County, or whether they're in High County, or whether they're in Rankin, anywhere. But sponsorship is $45. And the reason it's $45 is because if they pick the 5K, it would be $25. If they pick the 10K, it would be $30. So we just kind of wanted to make it where whoever the sponsor would be, the child would be able to pick whichever run they wanted to do. But anyway, I know I've taken up a lot of time. I do apologize, and I will put it in your hands, Michelle. Thank y'all for listening.
Thank you, Stacy. You might want to mute just in case you get in traffic, Stacy. So, Jamie, my name's Michele Baker. I was working with several nonprofits and organizations doing volunteer training and doing grant writing and website creation, things like that. But I basically retired and gave up my very last job a few months ago. So now I'm just doing my own thing. And one of those things is working for the Alliance as a trainer of nonprofit topics. I tend to focus mostly on volunteerism topics, but my entire professional career has been in nonprofits and volunteerism. So we can probably help you among the group that's here. If you need something, you should let us know, because we've got a lot of talent in this group, and we would love to add your own special brilliance to our already wonderful mix.
Woo!
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump straight into the presentation. I did want to say a couple of things. You four are acting as guinea pigs because this is a revamped version of a presentation that I've already done for the Alliance. And it originally had videos, which did not work because GoToMeetings and Zoom don't like videos. So I have reworked this presentation without the videos and reordered a few things. So if you see something that doesn't look right, or if you know, I am completely open to further revisions on this presentation. All right, so I'm going to jump right in. Since everybody here already knows some of this stuff, I'm going to go fast, just so you know. All right, let's see. Share my screen. All right. All right. Can everybody see the screen? Yes? Okay, great. All right, so skills-based volunteering. What is it and why do we need it? I'm going to turn off the participants. Give me just a second. I want to, well, it doesn't matter. All right, so today's presentation, revamped, is skills-based volunteering. What is it and why do we need it? All right. So this information is from an article written for the Stanford Social Innovation Review, and I've given you the link. So if anybody wants to go back and read that entire presentation, you are certainly invited to do that. That's where this presentation came from. All right, so today's goals. We're going to look at the main types of volunteers. We're going to learn about the spectrum of corporate community engagement. We're going to learn about some benefits and potential pitfalls. We're going to look at 3 types of skills-based volunteerism. There are a lot more than 3. This presentation only focuses on 3. And then we're going to begin a plan for engaging skills-based volunteers. All right. So just what is skills-based volunteerism? And I've often seen it called just SBV, or also experteering. So expert plus volunteering, experteering. So you might see that too. All right. All right, so we have multiple types of volunteers here. We have long-term, short-term, corporate, family, student, virtual. But today we're going to talk about a special subset, skills-based. Okay, these are things like an attorney giving some time, doing legal work. So this is an expert giving his or her time in their area. All right. Skills-based volunteerism requires a new way of thinking because you have to do special kinds of management and time management and volunteer management, because this is a new way to think about volunteering. So Christine Letts at Common Impact We'll talk a little bit more about common impact, but she is just saying up front, you're going to have to develop a new muscle to use skills-based volunteering. So what is it? This is when a team of corporate employees go to a nonprofit and they work for an extended period of time. This isn't a 3-hour thing. This is a 6-month thing. This is a long-term partnership between the nonprofit and the business. And when they do that, they can solve a complex operational problem like marketing or finance or technology. On the spectrum of corporate community engagement, skills-based volunteering is very high. So sometimes a company will give money, that's great. Sometimes they'll offer volunteers to come to the site, that's great. But this is a step above that. This is using the corporation's skills and what they do to help a nonprofit. And more than 75% of corporations are willing to try this activity. So the willingness is out there. We nonprofits need to step up to the plate and accept this invitation. All right. So their corporate skills plus our nonprofit needs equals skills-based volunteerism. The employees and the nonprofit staff partner on a long-term basis to benefit both organizations. So here are some of those benefits. On the corporate side, you've got good PR. They get an opportunity to help in the community and write a press release about it. That's always good. It can increase employee engagement rates because people are more excited about what they do at work. It can help the nonprofit have a more holistic understanding of complex social problems that nonprofits address. And it's of special interest to millennials, the people who are just entering the workforce. This is something that they value. So the corporations are tagging on to that, and they're making this a part of their corporate structure. Some of the benefits on the nonprofit side, they get skilled labor for free. They get to provide opportunities for the corporations to be good citizens. They can create a relationship that strengthens the organizations, both organizations, and more resources means they can get more creative with solving the social problems that they're there to fix. All right. Here are some of the potential pitfalls and how skills-based volunteerism can help mitigate those. All right, the first challenge, nonprofits can be reactive when they're seeking resources. The classic example of this is you write a grant proposal that's because the funder is there. You don't have that program in your nonprofit, but they're offering money to do reading for 3rd graders. So you think, oh, we can do reading for 3rd graders, let's do that. Well, with skills-based volunteering, the internal needs assessment drives the search for funds or drives the search for a business with the skills that you lack. It's mission focus. All right, number 2, it's hard to turn down a donation. A board member presents the opportunity to do X, but you really need Y. It's very hard to say no to a donation because the people want to give you money or people. But if you don't need it, sometimes it's more work than it's worth. So a mission-first focus leads to compatible donors. Okay. Number 3, previous negative experiences make future partnerships difficult. For example, she promised to build us a new website, but it never happened. So a skills-based volunteerism approach says that a clear written goal and outcome, so all parties know what's expected, leads to the successful partnership. Number 4, staff struggles to understand the time commitment and the results. Remember, this is a long-term partnership, so there's going to be time that needs to be allocated to supervision and reports and doing the work. And sometimes it's really hard for people to understand that. But good planning and ongoing implementation will justify the time spent. Sometimes this is a leap of faith. The plan is complex to implement and it's difficult to measure. It's easy to count volunteer hours. Why would you want to do more work? Well, because sometimes the harder work is more worth it in the end. The organization gets employees that are more willing to do more work, or maybe they're on the corporate, sorry, y'all, my allergies are terrible. The corporation has people on a ladder to success. So this can be a part of their moving up the ladder. Number 6, working with nonprofits is outside their comfort zone because social issues are huge and messy and unfixable. But this is a long-term partnership. It's a leap of faith, and we're going to get unexpected results. Okay. So now that we've seen some of the benefits and some of the potential problems, what tools do we have that we could use to fix these? These are just 3 of the many kinds: skilled day of service, pro bono, and project consulting. We're going to talk about skilled day of service first. Sometimes it's called a hackathon. It can be pro bono. It's a skills-based take on the traditional hands-on volunteer day. Teams of employees help a nonprofit address a challenge. Companies can engage hundreds of people with dozens of nonprofits. It's usually an event, and it's a relatively short time, just a couple of days. So here's a case study, the Allstate Foundation. This just happened in June. And the Allstate Foundation was an entirely virtual day of service. They used their technology, finance, HR, and other skills that they already had within the foundation. And they had selected a group of nonprofits with a racial justice mission, and they helped only those organizations. So it was a day of service. And Allstate provided those resources: technology, finance, human resources. A second case study, the Charles Schwab Pro Bono Challenge. This was only 5 hours, but 300 employees at 50 nonprofits in 6 cities targeted branding, expansion, and operations with nonprofits. So there's a great video about this, by the way. It's in the end resources. You should watch it. All right. So the second of the many options is pro bono. Most of us have heard of this. It's when a company lends an employee to help a nonprofit, for example, an attorney helping for free with a legal filing. The difference in this is that it uses the company's model. It's generally not customized. The attorney doesn't come in and completely revamp her way of being an attorney just for the nonprofit. She comes in, she does what she knows to do as an attorney and then goes, which is still great, but there might be a slightly better way. All right. The Mississippi Volunteer Lawyers Project. We've had this woman at our DOVIA meetings. The Volunteer Lawyers Project is a partnership among our Mississippi Bar Association, the Legal Services Corporation, and the nonprofit, which is called Volunteer Lawyers Project. And attorneys all over the state give volunteer time. Again, there's a video of this. It's the Nebraska version, but it's still a good video. I suggest you watch that one as well. The Financial Planners Association, Financial Planning Association, plus the Foundation for Financial Planning. This is similar to the Volunteer Lawyers Project, except it's financial planners, and they give free advice and services to people with low incomes. So this is their version of the Mississippi Volunteer Lawyers Project. It's just financial planners. I believe there's also a video about this. All right, the third big tool for your toolbox is project consulting. This one is longer term, and if it's done well, it knits together the company and the nonprofit. So a skilled day of service, that's short, 1 day, a couple of hours. Pro bono, that's probably a couple of hours at a time. Project consulting is meant to be and designed to be a long-term partnership. So, in the context of project consulting, employees of the corporation give time every week. They report to the nonprofit. It can be a long-term, 6 weeks, 6 months. And they do this because then a more complex issue can be addressed. It's often part of a company's leadership development track because select employees are given the opportunity to go to the nonprofit and increase their leadership skills. And when they come back to their home-based company, they're often bumped up the line. So, project consulting. Here are 3 examples. I'm not going to go over these. You can read them, but they're very interesting. First, North Carolina, pear and pencil. I'll let you look at this slide much more closely later. All right, so here are just 3 examples. Here's an example that I found online. There is definitely a video for this. CityLink and Fidelity. CityLink is in Cincinnati, and they help people train for and find employment. They contracted with and did a project consulting term with Fidelity Investments, and they did a wage study and created a roadmap that allowed CityLink to scale the program. This was fascinating. Definitely watch the video on this one. Now we come to this group, Common Impact. This is a nonprofit, commonimpact.org. And their whole mission is to create these project consulting partnerships between nonprofits and corporations. Their mission is catalyzing a new connected economy by aligning business and social purpose. So project consulting is what they do. Commonimpact.org has about 50 examples on their website. It's fascinating reading. I suggest you look that up too. All right. So what is the knitting factor we were talking about? So again, Christine Letts with Common Impact, she says that grant making and lending volunteers, they're great, but ultimately they're transactional relationships. Skills-based volunteering creates a sustainable solution that doesn't unravel when the partners part ways. It's the knitting factor. So the two organizations become entwined in ways that last. All right. So we've learned a few of the benefits. We've learned a few of the pitfalls. We've briefly looked at 3 of the potential ways that skills-based volunteerism might work. Now let's bring it down to your own organization. And apparently the key to this is time management, because it will take multiple hours a week. Somebody needs to be watching it. Somebody needs to be keeping an eye on the goals. Somebody needs to be making sure that folks are attending the meetings, that they're hitting the benchmarks. And I really liked this last sentence. Charts are helpful, but more critical is the soft skill of volunteer management to ensure effective implementation. We never get credit for knowing this soft skill, but Christine Letts sees it. So time plus volunteer management. So think about, what potential pitfalls does your organization have? Do you need marketing help? Do you need financial help? Do you need to do a better job at strategic planning? Are you technology challenged? When you build your plan, remember the obvious things like SMART goals and outcomes, stable operations, effective leadership. Are you project ready? And the question is this the right time for this project? Maybe it's not. Maybe waiting 6 months would make this completely different. You have to have somebody who's willing to watch it, because there is skill, creativity, time, and discipline needed to manage the project. This is from the nonprofit angle. So no matter which of the options you choose, and there are others besides the 3 that we looked at, make sure that you invest the time needed to prepare a realistic scope of work, get everybody on the same page, form the right teams, design a program that allows for gathering information and getting good solutions, creative solutions. And here are just some of the possible partners. All these companies have a presence in Mississippi. I'm sure that somebody at Nissan could help you figure out how to use technology better. I'm sure that somebody at the University of Mississippi Medical Center could help with human resource issues. I'm sure that somebody at Bancor South or Hancock Whitney or Bank Plus, any of those banks could help with a financial issue or getting your finances in a better position. So these are all potential partners, all Mississippi companies or companies with a major presence here in Mississippi. From the corporate side, they really need to think about how skills-based volunteerism fits with their own priorities. And they should target a social challenge that makes sense for the company. For example, maybe the water company wants to help a nonprofit whose goal is to make sure that people have clean water. Or maybe a company that publishes and sells books wants to help with youth literacy. So these things need to match. They need to mesh with the company's priorities. And corporations especially need to be prepared to balance growth and be prepared to adapt, because we as nonprofits are really good at this, because whatever social issue we're working on, it's changing all the time. So we are really good at hopping from one foot to the other foot. Companies aren't always as good at that as we are because they're used to making widgets. They make and sell widgets, but they're not good at, oh gosh, we can't make widgets anymore. Now what? We're good at this. We can help them with this. All right. So here are some of the resources that I mentioned. Common Impact. Again, this is a nonprofit that does project consulting, that partnership. Of course, the Alliance, the Volunteer Hub, Volunteer Mississippi, Energize, the National Council of Nonprofits, Points of Light, and our own DOVIA. These are the videos I referenced during the presentation. There's a press release in there too, and a larger version of that project consulting chart. There's a link to the source article for the presentation. Does anybody have any questions for me? Well, I thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry, Elizabeth, did you have something?
I was just going to say something because in my almost 20 years at Archives and History, and before that, when I did this kind of work, it's another 10, 15 years to that. The pitfalls you went over, I just want to mention to anyone who views this presentation now or later, that I found that the needs assessment was just critical for everything that I did. And that benefit list you gave, is fantastic because that's helpful information when you are approaching someone that's a highly skilled volunteer to get buy-in, so they will understand the importance of what they're doing. And just a couple of examples of highly skilled just come to the top of my head. Some of you, since you're in the Jackson area, remember the Mummy is a Dummy exhibit that was at the old Capitol for years and years. And before that, it was at the Capitol. They had an old X-ray that needed to be modernized. And so I reached out to the University Medical Center. It's funny you mentioned them. And they put me in touch with a nuclear radiologist. And, you know, you just have to ask. And he actually modernized that scan so that they could do better artwork for the exhibit. And no charge. He did it immediately. It was just the sweetest gift to, you know, be able to ask someone that's so highly trained. And another just real quick one, we were doing the French Legion of Honor Awards at the old Capitol, and they had one years ago, and they did not plan on having it there. But when I reached out to them about one veteran that had come to me, I said, well, we've got this man and I want to make sure he gets the French Legion of Honor Award, because you have to serve land, sky, or in water to get that award. And I needed someone to go interview him. And while I was on the phone, this man from France said, well, could we have our awards there? And I said, well, you know, years ago, y'all did this. And I think it was Eudora Welty who got the award. Well, he ended up having a program for 13 World War II veterans there, and it had all kinds of media. But the way I got, we were able to get this man his award, because I knew nothing about war, even though my father was a big person in world, you know, doing his thing. It just didn't rub off on me because I was not there and didn't have the experience. So I reached out to this man who was a general and just said, you know, I know nothing about interviewing someone for this. Could you go out to this retirement home and interview him? And he did, and he could talk about the war theater over in Europe, and he documented everything. And so he came back and gave me all the information, and we submitted it so this man could get his award. There are just some great people out there who are ready to help, and you just have to ask them. And that's what I have to say about that. And I think your presentation just hit the nail on the head, 100%. I give you 5 stars. That's my highest rating. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Hey,
Any other?
Michele, I have something to maybe add a little bit, if that's helpful. Not that the presentation was fantastic and I loved it, and very helpful. we have a little bit of a new initiative that I think maybe you can add to your resource list now with the Hub Network. And it's the Hub Network's pro bono initiative. I have it up here. I can share it on the screen if I can get sharing rights. But basically it was something, one of our commissioners is with a firm and they do a lot of pro bono work. And there was evidently who knew, a pro bono committee throughout the state of Mississippi. And so we're working with three different firms. One of them is Butler Snow, which of course has offices across the state. And so what they're doing, and Jamie doesn't even know about this yet. She is so new. I haven't gone over this with her yet. As a matter of fact, we just launched it not too long ago, and we're kind of in the test phases and seeing how the how the volunteers or the attorneys are kind of working out with this process. But basically, I have a tiny little presentation. I don't mean to throw it, only if we have time. If not, I'll just send it to you, Michelle, and you can just share it with the membership, the DOVIA membership. So that's completely up to you.
Elizabeth, can you take me off as presenter and make Krista the presenter instead?
Let me do something. Just hold the phone. And Krista, you look great. I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. I have been. I've been here, sort of. Yeah, mostly. I have. I know. I've been.
I haven't been out. So, but you just look great. Let me see what I can do. More.
I have missed seeing your faces.
Thank
so
you.
I was so glad. Just to come back and say hello to everybody. Hello, everybody.
Okay, you're the hostess. Here we go.
Oh,
You're the host now. Yes.
Let me see if I can share this screen without, and I promise I'm only going to take a minute. Okay. Okay, are you seeing this screen that says MS Hub Network Pro Bono Initiative? Okay.
Yes.
So this is something that's very cool. What happened? What we found out is this pro bono committee, they need to find places where their attorneys can go out and do pro bono work. I mean, that is the job of these particular attorneys on this committee. And when we talked about, well, we've got this Hub Network out there that is working with all the nonprofits. So they're working with us to try and get more of their attorneys out there doing pro bono work. So anyway, this is what they decided to be able to do this and kind of put some parameters around it, that these are the type of issues where they will assign their attorneys to give free pro bono assistance, drafting, updating, and reviewing bylaws and compliance, governance issues, contract review and negotiation, grant and federal state regulation compliance. And some of this is because a lot of this work will probably be done virtual. So they will help the nonprofit with these kinds of issues. And we're kind of starting out with these kinds of issues, just to see if there is a need for it. And the one thing they've already found out is that a lot of nonprofits don't understand bylaws already. And they're saying, I think we need to give a presentation statewide on bylaws, just because there is just, there's just so much need. There is a need for more understanding around this, and it's obviously an important issue with the board of directors and the leadership of a nonprofit organization. Anyway, so they will do these kinds of things for free, and these are the three law firms. And it's a very simple process actually for a nonprofit. All that they just called Jamie, I already did this for you. I threw this in, and but all of the hubs are doing it. And they just basically get in touch with Jamie. She sends, she just talks with them. There's a very short little form just asking some contact information and which one of these issues they might need help with, and then she just forwards it along to her contact at one of these law firms, and then they start the search to find somebody, and then they contact the nonprofit and they help them out. So anyway, so this was something that we were really excited. It took us about a year and a half to get this up and off the ground. COVID kind of threw a little wrench in the works for a bit there, but now it's out there, and we've had some some test subjects, as we call them, I can say that here, kind of trickling in to see how it's going. And there are several out there now, several nonprofits around the state that are receiving this assistance. So this is another, Michele, this is another resource you can put into your skill-based volunteering hat there. And for Jamie, hey, you get to do this. Just send it out. We have a whole thing where you can send it out and market it to all of your nonprofits. But Michele, this would be a great service for DOVIA membership as well.
If you would email me this press release, I'll put it into the presentation and I'll send it with the next e-newsletter for DOVIA.
Mm-hmm. Actually, this is just a flyer. I will be happy to do so. And
it doesn't even have to be anything formal, Krista. If you just copy this into a email, that's fine.
I'll do it. It's a PDF. Will that work?
Yes.
Got it. All right. I'll send it on over. Anyway, so that's it for me. I just wanted to let you all know about this, and hopefully you can put it in your bag of tricks there, Michele, with this presentation, and hopefully we can get a lot more nonprofits out there some help that they need, and the pro bono committee can get more of their attorneys out there giving some help out there. They just so anyway, that's what I've got to share, and it's so good to see everybody. And hi, Jamie, it's good to see you again. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Lisbeth. And I see Bridget has joined us, but oh, Tony, hello. I just don't see your face.
Goodness. Well, this was great. Does anyone have anything else? Stacy, thank you, Krista, and thank you, Michele, for this fantastic presentation. And Stacy, as president, do you have anything you want to add before we close out? She must have stepped away. Well, anyway, if anyone out there want to add anything? Well, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can we have a second?
Second.
I second
Thank you.
that.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay.
Bye.
Say,
All right.
take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank y'all.